Hello horror fans, and welcome to another episode of Horror Q&A. For tonight, we are taking a look at the horror movie, the indie horror movie, Followed. Ooh. Now, couple notes about this movie before we get started. First and foremost, I am sick as a dog, so instead of a whiskey straight, I'm having a hot toddy.
And all of our small bowls are in the dishwasher, so I have a big bowl of popcorn. So we're not following our own rules tonight. We're just gonna go till it ends.
Yeah, normally, if this is your first video, normally it's when I either get through my whiskey.
She has a fifth of whiskey, and I have a bowl of popcorn that's about half that size. And when one of us runs out, the interview is over. But we're both a little supersized tonight, and so we'll go till it's done. We'll go till it's done, because I don't expect you to chug that tea, and that's a lot of popcorn to get through.
So, a couple other notes about this movie. It's not currently in wide release. It's currently in the middle of its festival circuit right now. So if you guys are interested in seeing it, I recommend you go to the website for the film. That's areyofollowed.com/tickets.
AREYOU or are you followed?
AREYOU, yes.
Okay.
areyofollowed.com. All the words.
I never know because the little chat.
Oh no, for sure. Thank you for pointing that out. And I can definitely provide a link in the description below. Another disclaimer is that this, unlike most of the other stuff we do, is going to be a biased review as opposed to an unbiased review. Our dear friend Carrie Lane was the assistant director on this film. I actually got to interview the cast and crew about a year ago. Almost a year and I want to say
it's been a chunk of time.
Yeah. A little over a year ago, I got to interview the cast and crew while they were still raising funds for post-production. In the interest of full disclosure, when I saw this film at the Burbank Film Festival a couple weeks ago, I saw my name in the credits as a special thanks. So,
nice.
This is not going to be a biased review, this is going to be
I was going to say, what?
How much of this have I had already? No.
Yay much?
This is going to be a biased review, so take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. That being said, I will do my best to still give you guys as good of a review as I possibly can.
I mean, admittedly, all reviews are biased. Some people did like The New Mummy.
Those people are dead to me.
Like the Dark Universe franchise, right? That ain't coming back.
You're not wrong.
Put a fork in that one. It is done.
Other side note, just as a note, this is just a little bit of nugget of information. Followed actually did win Best Horror Movie at the Burbank International Film Festival.
So go see it.
So again, yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing it, go to the website, check out what festivals the film is coming to in a city near you. Those were almost words that made sense.
Those were all words that made sense in a fairly structured sentence.
I'm very ill. I'm so sorry. I'm doing my best. Okay, so for those who don't know already, Followed is the story of a...
Are you going to let me ask questions, or are you just going to talk about the movie? I will absolutely sit here and just eat popcorn and watch you talk about the movie, as long as we're breaking the format down.
Is your first question, what's the movie about?
Yes! Yes, it is! Fancy that!
We can
What's the movie about, Megan? No, don't cut that shit out. This is great.
What's the movie about, Megan?
What's the movie about, Megan?
Well, Katie, I'm glad you asked.
Now you can't cut any of that out because we look like weirdos.
I mean, yeah.
No, we look like weirdos asking it that way.
Also, we didn't introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Megan Salinas.
Hi, I'm Katie Cullen.
I'll splice that in.
We both have alcohol. No, keep it where it is. We're doing the My Favorite Murder thing. We're going to talk for 20 minutes and then get into the death.
Yeah. Yeah, again, because this is a little bit different. We're not.
We've even got a cat. I just scared the shit out of her.
You want to
she's here?
Yeah, we're not, since we're not following the normal structure of our horror Q&A. I might not edit this together. I might just go ahead and put up the whole thing.
Do it. Just do it.
All right.
Caution has been thrown to the wind.
We'll see how it goes. Let us know in the future what happens. All right. So, Katie, you wanted to know, what is this movie
Yes,
about?
I want to know what the movie's about.
So, the movie is about this very irreverent vlogger named...
Logan Paul?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because this movie was written way before the incident this year. Logan Paul was a presence, and I actually don't know if he was a direct influence for this character, but it would not surprise me if Logan Paul was a direct influence for this character.
I mean, the Paul brothers have been train wrecks for
a long
time. They just became very publicized train wrecks this past year.
Ugh, not even going to get into that.
Speaking of biased reviews.
Yeah. So, but yeah, very much in the vein of Logan Paul, there's this vlogger, Mike, who his whole shtick is to go to haunted places, or supposedly haunted places, and do online video segments about them. Like there's an introductory scene, and something that they put up on the website as like an introduction to this movie is him doing a vlog about a bridge in Pasadena where someone killed themselves. Like, this is in the fiction of the world. Where he goes and he does these very irreverent segments, like absolutely zero respect is paid. Like, Logan Paul is the perfect comparison. And he gets a sponsorship fairly early on in the film, where
Logan Paul is the perfect comparison.
If he makes it to a certain number of subscribers, he's going to get $250,000. And so he and his crew, comprised of his editor, his sound designer, and his cameraman, none of whom really want to go, but work is work. And they're all friends with him too.
Wait,
so.
The crew doesn't want to go, or he doesn't want to go either?
The crew doesn't want to go.
Oh. One of those movies.
But, you know, I think two of them don't care. But the cameraman, who's like his best friend, definitely doesn't want to go. Getting a lot of bad vibes. But basically, they for Halloween, for his big Halloween special that year, as a way to try to make that milestone, he's taken fan requests, and they are basically going to the equivalent of the Cecil Hotel. It is a hotel in the fiction of this world. It is a direct. It's basically the parallel. It's the Cecil Hotel without being the Cecil Hotel.
So for those who don't know what the Cecil Hotel is,
the Cecil Hotel is a very, very infamous hotel in Los Angeles, where it's allegedly haunted. The Night Stalker? I think that was the name of the serial killer. But it's home to several serial killers in its day. And more recently...
Wait, was this the water tank one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
In recent years, a young woman named Elisa Lamb was found on the roof in the water tower after a series of bizarre surveillance videos. Nobody knows how she got up there.
And they didn't realize that anything was wrong until the water in the shower started coming out black and smelling awful, and people made reports.
Uh-huh.
And then they found
And then they sadly found her. And again, they took a look at the surveillance video, and some of the last known footage of her is her in the elevator exhibiting very bizarre behavior.
She's alone, but she looks like she's talking to someone. There's no answers to be found.
And
I remember this brouhaha.
Yeah, and you know, there weren't in real life. There wasn't really any drugs found in her system when they performed the autopsy. So the big debate, I guess, within the supernatural community, is that it was either something supernatural or she was a victim of some sort of undiagnosed mental illness. And in any case, it's a tragedy and should not be made light of, which is why it's an interesting source of inspiration for this movie, because what we have here is a tragedy, you know, a hotel where this is just one of many, many terrible things that happened at this hotel, that this guy, who's very, again, as we see, very irreverent, very disrespectful, goes with his camera
on
crew.
Halloween, which is, if you believe in any form of spirituality or supernatural,
Bad juju, as you put it.
is when the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead is the thinnest. That's not when you go harass ghosts. You do it earlier, if you're dumb enough to do it at all, and then you release the video on Halloween. Like, not that I like the idea of going to a haunted place and being like, people died here, it's funny. Like, no, not okay. But even if you were enough of an asshole to do it, you don't do it on Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a bad idea.
It's kind of like, excuse me, it's kind of like if BuzzFeed Unsolved were dicks about it. Pretty much.
I think if BuzzFeed Unsolved were dicks about it, we wouldn't enjoy it nearly as much.
Exactly.
And I mean, even Achievement Haunter, they've only released one episode so far, and this is a bunch of guys that are known for playing video games and occasionally being dicks to each other. They aren't really dicks about the supernatural stuff they're exploring. Like, they will definitely prank each other, but none of them are like, lol, people died.
Yeah.
Like, they understand that people died, and that sucks.
No,
and they're still trying to, like, interact with the ghosts and whatnot, but none of them are like, hey, you stupid ghost, you're stupid because you're dead. Like, someone's going to take that clip out of context eventually, and it's going to be bad.
I feel like
yeah.
BuzzFeed Unsolved, there's a couple things where, because one of them doesn't believe in spirits, he'll say things like, hey demons, it's your boy, but that's more to antagonize his co-host than it is to actually, any disrespect towards, like, any tragedies that occur at those locations.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different flavor of irreverent.
So what we're saying is, don't be Logan Paul.
Don't be Logan Paul, or in this case, don't be DropTheMike.
Really?
His name is Mike, and so his YouTube channel, or his channel's name is DropTheMike.
Okay, that's not bad. It'd be better if he was a DJ of some sort, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, in terms of, like, usernames, it's probably better than the Menguin, so...
No, I disagree.
Kudos.
I like the Menguin.
Thank you. So yeah, kudos to you, Mike, on the one thing you did right. Good username choice.
Good job on your branding. Too bad you're awful. So then
they go to the hotel, and they're staying there for a couple days leading up to Halloween, like 2 days before Halloween. And there are a couple things that they definitely want to get footage of.
So they're asking to be haunted, basically.
Yes. And here's the other thing. The hotel did not give them permission to go ahead and film, and they decided, screw it, YOLO! I'm gonna do it anyway!
Did they actually say, screw it, YOLO?
He did not say YOLO, but he's like, guess what, guys? We're doing it anyway. It was something along those lines.
No. Guerrilla filmmaking is when you get something along the lines of, like, what was it? Escape from Tomorrowland or something like that? Where they filmed everything at Disney and they were like, we're so guerrilla and edgy, and then the film was just bad.
Yeah. It's interesting that that he's taking this approach because, again, the Cecil Hotel in real life, in the wake of the death of Elisa Lam, they wanted to distance themselves. They no longer go by the Cecil Hotel. They completely did a rebranding, and I know they definitely turn down requests for, like, people who want to go and take footage there and people who want to do segments on, like, haunted places in Los Angeles. They do not advertise that they are formerly the Cecil Hotel. So
because when you're known for someone dying on property in a way that endangers the health of everyone who's staying at the hotel, it's not your fault. How could you have known? This was, at best, a freak accident. But it's also an awful, awful thing to have on your reputation. Like, I can get wanting to be like, nah. It's not like the hotel that The Shining is based off of, where they're like, yeah, we don't let people stay in that particular room, but we have a Shining ball at Halloween, and we give ghost tours, and we do, like, they've leaned super hard into it because it's fiction.
Yeah, there are plenty of hotels and even a lot of times castles that like lean in to the haunted thing and that sort of branding because they know people will pay for it.
The Hollywood Tower Hotel out here.
For sure. But the thing with the Cecil Hotel is that it's such a recent tragedy and it's so grisly.
It's less than a decade old, I want to say.
Yeah, it's so recent and it's so grisly and it's so sad.
Yeah, that freak accident, tragic accident.
And that was something too. And I'll go ahead and put in the link below as well my initial interview with the cast and crew as well. That was something that director Antoine Lee definitely wanted to be sensitive about. Like, the Cecil Hotel was direct inspiration for this entire movie, as is, vlog culture and a lot of things like that. But, like, at the same time, he's like, it is a tragedy. Like, we wanted to be very respectful regarding that. We didn't want to, like, we are taking direct influence from that tragedy, but we in no way wanted to, like, diminish the impact of, like, this is something that happened to a person.
There's no based on a true story or anything.
Yeah, no.
And then anyone who's making fun of the tragedy or being a dick about it is clearly painted as being in the wrong.
Oh yeah,
I would assume.
I definitely leaned in to our buddy Carrie when we were watching it at the Burbank International Film Festival. I leaned in. I was like, he deserves everything that's coming to him. Although, interestingly enough, that's what you think at first. The movie actually does a really good job of making you feel sympathy for this asshole. Like, he's, in no way does it justify his behavior, but in a lot of our search for the truth, especially for big true crime aficionados, finding the reasons why never acts as an excuse, but it definitely provides reasons where you're like, oh, that provides an explanation. It in no way, shape, or form excuses what he does.
I understand, but you're still terrible. Cool mode is still murder.
But the movie actually does a really good job of humanizing him because much like anybody on the internet is in this day and age,
phone.
People
I'm very
who are
popular.
People who are online often have online personas. And DropTheMike, though it's an extension of his personality, it is very much a gimmick. And they make it very clear pretty early on that he needs the money because he has a wife or a fiance, I believe a fiance. And demonetization sucks.
It does. We are past the point where you can make a living on YouTube anymore. You just can't.
Subscribe to her Patreon. But yeah, no.
A few bucks at the Ko-fi because that definitely goes both ways.
No, it's definitely a component of like why he does what he does. And there's an entire film theory talking about like why Logan Paul is the way he is. It's all about driving that shock value to to the equivalent of clicks and likes and just viewership. Like, even if people hate what you're doing, if you get views up enough, you're getting enough hits to make that money. And so that's, you start to realize that, like, there's a lot more to what's going on in Mike's own personal life than there is just kind of on the surface of, like, oh yeah, hit that like button and subscribe, whatever.
I do miss Do Not Link, though. It's a site where you used to be able to open it and then put a link to something you want to see, and the traffic would not go to the thing. So you could watch that video or you could read that awful op-ed in the New York Times or wherever the hell it is without the site registering that traffic had been driven to it. And Do Not Link has been down for a chunk of time.
Oh, that's sad.
Sadly. We need another one. Because occasionally you really do just want to read a really trashy, pants-on-head, stupid take on something. And you don't want to be like, we're rewarding you with clicks. Like,
yeah. No,
I want to be informed, but I don't want to reward you for anything.
Exactly. There are definitely things where it's like, I've definitely avoided looking at them because it's like, I don't want to encourage that sort of behavior. I don't want to drive to that particular website.
And like, I have not watched the Logan Paul video because I don't want to put that in front of my eyeballs.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
I don't need it in my life. And also, he's just an asshole, so fuck that guy.
But yeah, so if anyone knows of any, like, do not link similar sites or anything like that where you can just be like, I don't want to drive traffic, but I still want to read this, link them. We want to know.
But that being said, again, they do a really good job of humanizing Mike as a character. And you like, 100% kudos to Matthew Solomon, who plays Mike. Because this is a guy that has the range to be irreverent, but then on, like, the turn of a dime, make you feel sympathy for him and evoke that emotion of, like, because a lot of the movie is him talking to the camera. Vlog
so
style.
He's got to be on point.
Yeah, no, for sure. He is the heart and soul of this movie, and that I'm not saying that in, like, a cliche sort of way. Like, there are a lot of cool things about this movie, but, like, if his performance was not rock solid, there's no way it would have worked. And he is rock solid.
So I'm assuming he gets super haunted.
Yeah, it does not, like, literally before they even get to the hotel, like, creepy stuff starts happening. They are outside the hotel when paranormal stuff starts happening.
That's kind of at the point where it's like,
whoo. But there are a couple, like, interesting things. Like, there's a basement that that's padlocked, but there's enough space, there's enough of a gap between the door that they can fit their drone in.
There's a spacement in the basement.
There's a spacement in the basement. Okay, that was pretty good.
You really are ill.
I'm very ill. But, like, it's enough space for them to fit a drone in.
Oh, no.
And so, like, a really good moment of dread is this drone, like, going through the basement on one of the first days that they're there. There's a security guard that's a fan of him. And it's just like, ooh, like, that's a little unsettling. And, they start to see things out of the corner of the camera frame. And actually, kind of a fun thing that was told to me about a behind-the-scenes thing is, like, Mike has this fun little prop called Fred the Head, where it's like, a fake severed head or whatever. He brings it with them to the hotel and he puts it on a thing. And then the first night they're staying there, it falls down. And they're like, oh my gosh, Fred fell down. Woo, it's haunted. And they put it back up. Apparently, it really fell. Like,
and they just went with
it? Yeah, and they completely rolled with it. Like, that was pretty funny.
Like Sigourney Weaver actually making the backwards basketball throw.
Although I hear that took, like, a lot of takes.
Yeah, but you don't expect to have to edit. Who was it? John C. Reilly? Who was it?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
But yeah,
I've never actually seen Aliens.
I think you're thinking Ron Perlman.
I am thinking Ron Perlman.
But yeah, Sigourney Weaver made that shot for sure. Because yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Alien Resurrection. Because that's the one that's from. Aliens is the one with Bill Paxton.
Oh.
I've
seen none of them.
Neither here nor there. But yeah, so they have this cool, like, basement moment, and then of course the drone goes down, so, like, it's really good at building dread that way. And very early on, as they're getting B-roll footage, like, they see a drug deal going down, and the drug dealer sees that they have a camera, and, like, that immediately goes like, oh. And so they start to see paranormal things happen, and
they see a drug deal go down, so they see paranormal things, like, drug deals are paranormal.
Well, it's all adding to, like...
Oh, no, I know, I gotcha. That's a really good way to do it, but it's like, drug deals are paranormal now.
One of the things they do is the host decides without his cameraman, without anybody to go with him, he decides to play the elevator game.
And that is?
Oh, do you not know about the elevator game?
No.
A lot of people theorize, again, taking it out of the movie review real quick, a lot of people theorize that Elisa Lam was playing the elevator game when in the footage taken shortly before she died. The elevator game, it's supposed to, if you hit a sequence of numbers on an elevator and you ride it, supposedly it leads you to a different dimension. And if you step off the elevator at that point, then you go into a different world, and then you're trapped there or something like that.
So this is from a whole bunch of people who grew up on 13th Floor and creepypasta. I
mean, no, it's a pretty well-known urban legend. Like, a lot of people have been talking about it, especially in the wake of the Cecil Hotel incident. It's a pretty well-known thing, and in the fiction of this movie, because much like various urban legends, in the fiction of this movie, a ghost will appear, and if you acknowledge the ghost, then she'll, very much like Bloody Mary, pull you into another world. So
if you don't acknowledge the ghost, is it just the world's most awkward elevator ride?
I assume so.
I told you about the elevator in Cheyenne.
Probably, but I don't remember.
Should we sidebar or save it for extra footage?
Oh, let's save it for extra footage.
All right.
We've been going on quite a few
We're gonna get our scooters, and we're gonna go segways.
We've been going
it
on
actually
quite a
is
few
pronounced
segways.
Segway. But a segway is usually a connector between two different tangents. I mean, I'm super curious as to how it ends, but we can't say that here because you guys need to go see it. But I'm assuming that more paranormal things happen.
I will say, as a fun sort of framing device, the movie, much like the original Unfriended, I haven't seen the second one, it actually mostly takes place from the point of view of one computer screen, which means it's taking place after the fact. And
that's wild.
Somebody sits down at a computer, and you don't really find out who until the end, but somebody sits down at a computer and looks at a listing of haunted places in Los Angeles, or haunted, unexplained things in Los Angeles. And number one is the disappearance of DropTheMike. And that's where it goes to the website. And that's when it goes to the video logs that have already been uploaded to the website, and you find out that the person who's on this computer, and this is all within the first couple of minutes of the movie, the person who's on the computer right now has admin rights to the website. So and then they just kind of sit down,
so it's probably one of the crew.
And
probably.
So they're uploading video. And while they're waiting for it to upload, they're just sitting down and watching the other video logs.
Man.
It's a really creepy way to introduce the movie.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So the whole movie is just in these vlogs and this other footage?
Pretty much. And I would say that the movie is in the screen of this person's monitor, because there are a couple moments where you look at their reflection a little bit. It's very much obscured and left in shadow, but you can see their reflection. And there are points where you can tell this is Mike's computer. This person is on Mike's computer because people are messaging him. They're like, "Where have you been? What's going on?" And like whoever this person is, ignoring the messages that are coming in. And then after a while, instead of just ignoring them, starts replying with smiley faces. It's creepy.
Wow.
It is creepy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really effective.
That's fantastic. And super cruel.
Yeah, very cruel. It's a very cruel thing to do, when someone's loved ones are reaching out, going, "Where have you been? We are so worried about you. What's going on?"
And just
smiley face, wink. You're awful. You're a monster. In terms of the movie, when it wants to build up dread, is really effective. Like I said, that whole basement sequence. There is a chase sequence it's either leading up to the third act of the movie or in the third act of the movie, where a person in a mask on Halloween night gives chase to two of our characters. And that chase sequence is hands down my favorite moment of the film.
Really?
Yeah. It's
interesting.
Really good and really well done. I talked to the director afterwards. He said it was very much influenced by the Bourne Identity series. Because a lot of it is them, like, running upstairs and, like, trying to get away from this guy. So it's very well done. That being said, where the movie, I think, struggles a little bit is in the effects department.
But I mean, indie movie.
It's an indie movie. But there are points where because a lot of the movie focuses on found footage, it's not all shaky cam, thank God, because I can't handle shaky cam. The aforementioned Bourne Identity movies give me such a headache. That's another thing I want to kind of emphasize. If you're somebody who, like me, is kind of like motion sensitive, where if it's like a found footage movie and it just gives you a headache, this movie did not make my head hurt in any capacity. You know, your own mileage may vary, but because a lot of it is vlog based, a lot of it is, you know, still shots. There are, of course, going to be some shaky cam moments, but like, it was never enough to make me like nauseated or make my head hurt or my eyes cross or anything like that. So that's definitely a plus. But I feel like when it leans in to the supernatural side of things, but instead of just relying on like the actors being there, it focuses a little too much on like the camera aspect of like, oh, we're catching a ghost on camera. And again, it's completely understandable because this is an indie horror movie. But like for me, I would have just preferred if the ghosts looked solid as opposed to glitchy. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it really took me out of it.
And it's an effects choice.
Yeah. There's also a subplot that I would argue was unnecessary. It's never made clear whether or not this particular subplot is the cause of the supernatural goings-on, or if it's an unrelated, or if it's an unrelated component. Like, I feel like it is very much a component of what's going on. But to me, I was like, I mean, you're already at a haunted hotel. You don't need this additional subplot.
Yeah.
There was a subplot that I really liked where, I won't give it away, but it turns out Mike has a deeper connection to the hotel than you initially think.
He's been dead the whole time.
He has a connection to the hotel, and I won't say what it is. But,
okay, but are you going to say what it is?
No. Yes! Let me tell you right now.
And it's... He secretly built the hotel himself. He's a time traveler.
I would watch that movie.
Me too. I think it may have been done poorly in other franchises, but
yeah.
Webs. So, rate it. Because I think we're kind of in wrap-up territory here. I don't know if there's much more you can say without spoilers, and we're trying not to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. And again, this is a biased review. I do think that...
Every review is a biased review.
I know. But, like, it's not often I get to talk about a movie where, like, you know, I got to see stages of it along the way, you know, where I got to get excited about it with the cast and crew before it was done being made. So, if I were to rate it, I would say B+.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
If I were to rate it, I'd say giant question mark because I haven't seen it.
I think the lower budget effects do bring it down a couple notches, but I think the performances are great. I really do like the story. The sequences of dread that work are really effective, and oddly enough, I think this movie is more relevant now in the wake of a character like Logan Paul, you know, being real. I think this movie is more relevant now than it would have been when the script was initially penned.
I think you're right.
So that was something I really found interesting watching this movie, because again, I interviewed the cast and crew like a good long while ago, and then to sit down and look at it and go, oh my god, like this is more,
it's here.
It's more relevant than when we initially talked about it. Like, so I always appreciate a movie that is kind of ahead of its time a little bit. And I also appreciate a movie that talks about, like, the struggles of trying to make a life online, and the struggles of, like, you know, the cult of personality, and, you know, the
continual hustle in the gig economy, and
yeah,
all sorts of
and taking the concept of what's on the surface an irredeemable character and actually humanizing him and looking at it, and you realize that, like, this is a character who he and his cameraman became best friends because when they were kids they were in the counselor's waiting room together. That they had to go, like, in and out, that they've both been in and out of therapy for years and years and years, and that
there's nothing wrong with that.
Of course not, no. And that, like, the reason why he does what he does is because he's like, there's something wrong with me. I see something that other people, you know, react to as horrific, and I feel nothing. Like, there's something wrong with me. And so it's a very interesting, if nothing else, if you're not normally interested in found footage horror movies, if you're not normally interested in supernatural stuff, and if the idea of a movie, like, inspired by the Cecil Hotel isn't enough to get you interested, it is a good character study of what I think right now is an all too common sort of internet persona that exists in a lot of different places, not just Logan Paul. There are a lot of imitators.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people trying to drive the algorithms in similar ways. So, like,
There are better ways.
there are absolutely better ways. So I think it's a very interesting character study and a very relevant piece of filmmaking right now. And I always enjoy horror movies where, you know, people try something different. And so, like, even if you don't think this is your cup of tea, I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Like I said, areyoufollowed.com/tickets. Go see when it's hitting your neck of the woods on the festival circuit.
Do the thing.
Do the thing when the stuff, it's good times. How's the popcorn?
It's pretty good.
Meh?
No.
Okay. Well, in that case,
You have a cold.
Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you like, I almost said if you like popcorn. If you like reaction videos to non-horror things, they all live on that channel.
And I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can follow me on Twitter. And sorry, we did like so many spiels earlier today that I'm like waiting for more.
Where's
like,
the rest of it?
Where's the rest of it?
Where's the other part of your spiel? Well, I have an Overwatch podcast called On the Point that also lives on that channel. So
You do!
I do.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. Be sure to follow Silver Screams at Silver_Screams. Like us on Facebook. All that jazz. If you've seen Followed, I want to know what you guys think of the movie. And if you haven't seen Followed, tell me, which internet personality would you like to see in a horror movie?
What's your favorite indie horror movie?
Ooh, I like that too. That's a good one. It Follows is a good one. The Babadook is a great example. Yeah, I'm going to put it at The Babadook for me. What's your favorite? Technically, you could say Bloodfest.
Oh, that's true. I did enjoy Bloodfest quite a bit. Does it count as indie? Well, independent, I guess. So yeah.
Technically, yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out Followed. And as I said before, I will put links to Followed's website in the description below, as well as the link to my initial interview with them on the Popcorn Talk Network. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. Here, hands. Popcorn. Yay! Like, subscribe, ding! Drop the mic!